On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Craziness going on. Obviously, this dude put out a crazy text or tweet showing the numbers 8647. I didn't want to put it in the thumbnail. Would have made a better thumbnail, by the way. I didn't intentionally because visually that puts that out there, and I want that to be seen differently. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to broadcast that right up front, even though it's one of the first things I said. But visually, anyway, whatever the case is. We're going to jump right into this story. I'm not even going to bury this for a second. We've got a lot of places where it's been posted. One of the ones that I want to start off with first, before we get into it, and it's the very next story that I'll be sharing. So what is funny is this is Lady Gaga. Now, everybody knows Lady Gaga is evil, right? She's training with Maria Abramovich or whatever that lady's name is. Whatever the case is, however you see it, she is telling us what is evil, that evil's intelligent, how evil works, and what evil does. Evil works through each of us as an individual, and it will guide you in the evil way, which is the opposite typically of what most of us want to do. So listen to what Lady Gaga has to say. She speaks from great knowledge. She is in the middle of this, but they tell it to us straight to our face.
Chaos and crisis, what we all tend to do, right? Start pointing fingers at where we think the bad guys are, where the evil is. We all start arguing. Everybody has different opinions about that. Please do not forget that hatred or evil, whatever you want to call it, it's intelligent, it's smart, and it's invisible. It doesn't have a color. It doesn't have a race. It doesn't have a religion. It has no politics. It's an invisible snake that while it is planning to make its attack, it is thinking to itself, I am going to divide my enemy into smaller, less strong groups, and then I'm going to make them hate each other so that it's easier to take them down. And as we're all yelling at each other, trying to figure out which group it is that's causing the problem, evil's winning.
Yeah. And if we're not smart enough to see it when it's happening, we'll fall for it. And most of us, a lot of us do. A lot of us have evil and hate. Evil, synonymous. How many times have you catch yourself saying, I hate so-and-so, or I hate such and such? That's why when I do it publicly, whenever I do it, I correct myself. I say the word, but I also know it's the path towards evil. So I stop it immediately, and I replay or restate what I just said. I do it all the time. I've done it on the air many, many, many times. I would like you guys to consider that as a possible solution, because hate is a thing that leads to the dark.
Fox News alert, Homeland Security just launched an investigation into former FBI Director James Comey for threatening to 86 President Trump. Comey posted this picture of seashells spelling out 8647, claiming he just ran into him on the beach. Comey says he knew it was a political message, but didn't know what 86 meant. Tulsi Gabbard's the director of national intelligence. Are you buying that the former FBI director didn't know what 86 Trump meant?
Absolutely not, Jesse. That is a ridiculous and insane statement to make, certainly within this context, but especially coming from a guy who's the former director of the FBI. A guy who spent most of his career prosecuting mobsters and gangsters, people who know and execute other humans and use this exact lingo of 86. Comey himself admitted in his follow-on message that he knew that this was a political statement. Well, the only reason he knew that, Jesse, was because a little over a month ago, a bunch of anti-Trump, anti-Elon Musk protesters were proliferating the use of this 8647 slogan, which was a veiled call to action to murder the sitting president of the United States. So for Comey to think that we, the American people, are so stupid as to think that he, as a former FBI director, former prosecutor, and someone who clearly pays attention to what's going on, would believe his lie that he didn't know what this actually was calling for, the dangerousness of this, Jesse, cannot be underestimated. When we have 2 assassination attempts on the president's life, when we have people who look to guys like Comey, who've been celebrated by MSNBC and the Democrat elite and CNN as the beacon of integrity, the law and order guy, the guy who would tell the truth no matter what the consequences. This is the guy who's issuing a hit on President Trump, the president that the American people voted for. So it's guys like Comey and others who call the president the modern day Nazi, people who are in great positions of influence, who are saying that President Trump poses an existential threat to our country. These are people who hate democracy and hate the American people because they cannot stand that the people overwhelmingly chose to elect Donald Trump and send him back to the White House. So they are seeking other means to get their way and to try to remove him from that position.
How serious is the administration taking this, and what are the next steps going to be?
We're taking this very seriously. As you mentioned, the Department of Homeland Security, and specifically Sean Curran, the current Secret Service director, a man who has been willing to lay down his life as the lead of President Trump's Secret Service detail for years now. He takes this seriously and is leading the investigation into this threat. There has to be accountability for this. There was a Rutgers study that just came out a little over a month ago, Jesse, that asked respondents their view on these calls to assassinate President Trump. And over 55% of respondents felt that murdering President Trump would be, quote unquote, somewhat justified. This is the effect of people like James Comey doing this kind of stuff. This study also pointed out that there is a quote unquote assassination culture that is starting to take over the views of what they call the extreme left. We, the American people, cannot take this lightly. Whatever your politics, we cannot allow people to get by without being held accountable for this kind of public call to assassinate the President of the United States.
Do you believe that Comey is goading you guys to come after him because he wants to be a political martyr? He wants to be set up so he can say, oh, look, we were right. Donald Trump is a dictator. They're coming after me. They're arresting me. They're interrogating me. I was just using my free speech.
You know, whatever his intent, I will tell you that there is a guy in Georgia who is issuing threats on my life about a month ago, and he's in jail today. He has been indicted with a crime, as he should have been, and he is in jail as we speak. So whatever James Comey intent, he and people like him need to be held to account according to the law, which is something that he claims to have given his life for and stands by the rule of law. Fantastic. The rule of law says people like him who issue direct threats against the President of the United States, essentially issuing a call to assassinate him, must be held accountable under the law.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Any other person with a position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be, I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life, and James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
Yeah, for sure. Made an example of, for that matter, as well. I will say there was one time I was at a firearm place, and a lady had put on the target, like over the target, it was a picture of Gavin Newsom's face. Now, for anybody that's about, Dan, don't say what you're about to say. Now, she started reeling it down. I had never seen the big-ass overweight dude that worked behind the counter hop the counter the way he did and ran the hell out there. It was done within moments. I don't even know if he had ear protection. It happened so quickly. So, yeah, you're not allowed to do that. Period. End of story. You can't even pretend. You can't joke about. There's just certain things. Yelling fire in a crowded theater. I thought it would be funny. You're not allowed to do that. So, again, do we have absolute free speech? No, we don't. We don't. I mean, and these are interesting times, and we're always going to be challenged. One thing I've found with every single rule that exists, you can come up with a scenario where it's okay to break the rule. So then what exactly are rules, right? They're guidelines, but it's kind of how we all live together. There are certain places where we've got to be a little more strict, right? Anyway, here's Trump responding to this nonsense.
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear. Now, he wasn't very competent. but he was competent enough to know what that meant. And he did it for a reason, and he was hit so hard. Because people like me, and they like what's happening with our country. Our country's become respected again, and all this. And he's calling for the assassination of the president.
Obviously, he apologized and said he doesn't.
Well, he
wasn't calling
apologized
for
because he was
violence.
hit.
But
look, he's a very bad.
What do you want to see happen?
What
do you want to see happen?
I don't want to take a position on it because that's going to be up to Pam and all of the great people. But I will say this: I think it's a terrible thing, and when you add his history to that, if he had a clean history, he doesn't. He's a dirty cop. He's a dirty cop, and if he had a clean history, I could understand if there was a leniency, but I'm going to let them make that decision.
Yeah, basically, they're going to be coming after him. Here's Kash Patel tweeting or truthing, whatever, posting. We are aware of the recent social media post by former FBI Director James Comey directed at President Trump. We are in communication with the Secret Service and Director Curran. Primary jurisdiction is with the Secret Service on these matters, and we, the FBI, will provide all necessary support. Just, again, bring some reminders back to post 4674, posted September 11th, 2020. Funny, interesting date to post that. James Comey treason, and it is written, I believe it was 40 times when I counted. 40 times, groups of 5, 3 words, groups of 5. I think somebody counted that was 45th president, right? Or something. I don't know. There's some weird stuff that went with it. But just repetitive. Not going to get too far outside of that. They're going to be like, well, yeah, there's no arguing that. Steve Miller posted, as the former FBI director and key leader of the deep state, Comey's call for assassination while the president is abroad, no less, is a chilling escalation of the war against our democracy by a faction committed to its destruction. Calling it out. Everybody's calling it out. So we'll see. There's going to be more information. Of course, all sorts of everybody has opinions about what's going on with this. So, again, come to your own conclusions is what I hope, but I think we will see what happens. I would be surprised if they don't in some way, shape, or form go after him. There is some really weird shit posting going on around this, trying to get people fired up. Again, remember, getting people emotionally fired up, whether it's you or somebody else, makes people do stupid stuff. You just don't behave properly when you're operating from an emotional standpoint, and you will make mistakes almost always, and you'll do something that'll likely get, well, almost assuredly get yourself in trouble. So please understand that. Please know, I mean, it can be used against others. It can be used against you. Remember, karma is always a thing, and with great power comes great responsibility, as I've said before. FBI Director Patel confirms that the vacate Hoover building is, in fact, happening. Now, he does say something interesting. And I mean, basically, the building was shutting down anyway. That was part of the plan. They've got a new building. I think they're still building it. That's something they couldn't stop or maybe didn't want to. Maybe they just want to be in charge of setting it up. But 1,500 agents of that building, it seems, at least I think this is really the key of the story, is they're being spread out kind of across the nation. I don't know, Patel's trying to sell it as, hey, look, we got extra agents that are going to be in your area, you know? Like, all right, I guess, you know, cool. But it's cool that they're removing them from D.C., which, by the way, when I first put this out, I was like, that is kind of interesting, right? We're removing stuff from D.C. Why is that? Mar-a-Lago was always considered the White House in the South. Why is there this setting stuff up to where maybe D.C. is not actually our center of power anymore? Maybe that old contract might be expiring, or maybe already done. I don't know. Maybe there's a period of time. Like when Trump went around the first time and signed stuff, went to the Vatican, right? All that crazy stuff. The Pope was all pissed off when he was there. When Trump did that, he did something that started this movement. And here we are for him to come back and finish it. And he's kind of almost made some of the same world tours, or at least starting to. That's just something to keep in the back of the mind. At least I am. So, yeah, we're vacating some people. We're getting them out. That's awesome. The Democratic Party is basically saying it looks like AOC is essentially the most likely person to be running for president. That makes a lot of sense to me. I honestly think it's going to be her and Gavin Newsom. And I think Newsom's going to be her VP, which I think is going to be kind of funny, just in the big picture. Watching him get to run around and be second fiddle. Because, you know, I don't know if he's going to get a chance to run against anybody Well, J.D. Vance, I think, would tear Gavin Newsom apart, or at least it would be a fun fight to watch. I mean, Newsom's not a dumb guy, but they're very progressive. I think a lot of people fear for the direction that things are going. The older crowd definitely is not as fond of AOC. I don't think she's, I don't know. I see her kind of as a better Kamala Harris, like not as stupid and much prettier and younger. And I'm not trying to give any besmirch to, I like older women myself, so whatever, right? Like, but it's just, she has charisma, and charisma is a powerful thing. That's all it comes down to. You either got it or you don't. And some people got it, and there's just I don't know what it is. I've never been able to piece it, but some people light rooms up when they walk in, and some people, you're like, did they leave? Oh, really? An hour ago? Huh. Oh, well. Right? Like, you don't even notice them. Nor do you care. You're like, nah, he didn't say bye. It's cool. I didn't really care anyway. Would have had to say something, shake his hand, ask about his wife, or act like I care about it. Like, so how you have a kid? One kid, right? Like, trying to remember the facts. You're like, they have like 2 legs and stuff. Ah. So anyway, the Hill put this out. DHS moles reality show for immigrants seeking U.S. citizenship. Trump's president. A lot of people I can see just on the face going, that's stupid. And I would be like, yeah, I can see that. I mean, totally. It's stupid as shit. But it's brilliant is what it is. It's brilliant. I'm not sure who's making the money off it. That's going to be key because the United States probably should put it on themselves if they can, right? You got Grinnell, you got Trump, you got people that could make this happen. Not that Trump should be the host, but they know how to put a show together that's a winner. But if the government was doing this and making the money off it and paying debt down, by the way, and then some sort of thing in the contract, like once the debt's paid down, then that money goes to the Treasury, and then we'd be able to lower taxes even further. We'll see. I don't know. It's a pipe dream, kind of stupid at the same time. Like I said, I think it's both. It's both. It was just fun to bring up. So I think this is where they're attempting to be like Donald Trump. I think they're trying to, because like when Donald Trump had the mug shot, right? That mug shot photo, that was like the first, I think, photo, if I remember correctly. Tell me I'm wrong, guys, right? But that was like the first, like, and then they shot him, right? And then, like that was the first like major thing. And we lost our shit. It brought so many people to the organization, to the group, to the running, to where we're at. I feel like they're trying to do that too. Comey is, I think, a step up from what the Newark mayor did. And we're going to share all that, the Newark mayor thing here, because it's a neat little post that I think it might have been Fox. Yeah, it's Fox again. But this idea that they can somehow create themselves as martyrs is advantageous only in that if the thing you're martyring yourself for is for the good, right? If you're fighting for criminals, sex offenders, right? Like higher taxes, more waste and abuse, basically the stuff that the Dems seem to be fighting for, open borders, rape and pillage. They seem to be supporting all that stuff, but they're like, we're going to die on this hill and we're going to be the symbol to everybody else. Right? And then they do like the, I don't know, what was the Captain Morgan stance, right? And just stand back and, right? And then just think they got this. But the reality is they're on the wrong side of everything. They don't even care about regular workers anymore. It's now all the ultra billionaire donors, and they keep calling us like, the oligarch. It's like, you guys have all the rich people from San Francisco in your back pocket. And of course, they do this all the time, right? They project. It's how you know you're kind of dealing with a little liberal person, because they just start to project problems outward. Nothing is ever their fault, ever. I can't, like a true Democrat die in the wool, I've never heard one of them actually admit, well, publicly anyways, that they've made a mistake, ever. I've had a couple people close to me where you talk to them and you give them facts and there's no way they can weasel out of it, and they're like, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, but that does nothing for the bigger picture. It helps my relationship with my dear friend Charlie, but outside of that, anyway, we've got a large problem. We got to figure out how to One, do the right thing. Two, take the fact that people are throwing tomatoes and shit at us while we're doing it, trying to punch us. And three, ultimately, this bastard that just tried to punch you, we've got to try to become friends with him in some way, shape, or form, or at least extend an olive branch. Yeah, I don't want to either. I don't want to. But there's no other way forward. Now, again, I think there's just like this group of us, myself included, that are like, oh, something horrible is going to happen, and then they're all going to run out in the streets and get arrested. Then we won't have to worry about them. And I'm like, yeah, there's a number of thousands of people there. But still, ultimately, there's millions that we've got to talk to. We're going to need to. I think we can. I think there's a lot of common ground. Talked about it frequently, but needless to say, this is pretty good stuff here. Newark mayor being arrested. Good little bit that the Fox News did covering this and the potential arrests, maybe, that might be coming.
I'm not letting you. You cannot push. You cannot push. You cannot push. You want to get back? You cannot. You want Congressman, get over her. Just stop. Stop right here. Member of Congress, come on, brown shirt. Excuse her. Thank you. Excuse her.
Now, I actually thought that was something else. I don't know why. Yeah, this is what I thought it was, so we'll edit that. Hang on. Let me be silent for a second. Yeah, you don't realize the mistake I just made. Here's the video I meant to show, but this is, talking about this Kristi Noem firing back at Democratic leaders that have crossed this red line, and who knows, maybe arrests are coming.
Hakeem Jefferies says if you arrest any member of Congress who's obstructing ICE from arresting and deporting criminals here, you're in trouble. Listen.
What happens if they were to go and arrest these members, or if they would try to sanction them here in the House of Representatives?
They'll find out.
What would you do, though? What recourse? But doesn't that broach a...
They'll find out.
Doesn't that go across...
That's a red line.
What's the red line, though? I know we have the speech...
It's a red line. It's very clear. No one's intimidated by this dude. No one. And so there are clear lines that they just dare not cross.
If they break the law, are you going to cross Hakeem's red line?
I tell you what, Jesse, what happened last Friday was we had members of Congress assaulting law enforcement officers. They were cooperating with criminals to create criminal acts, and then they're saying that they were providing oversight. This wasn't oversight. This was committing felonies. This was going out and attacking people who stand up for the rule of law, and it was absolutely horrible. I can't believe they act like this and then they defend it. And then they're doing these acts of violence to get people out of detention centers that are rapists, that are murderers, that are people that are foreign terrorist organizations that have been out there victimizing our communities in the United States of America. What are they trying to do? Release these people back into the country so that there could be more Laken Rileys, so there can be more Jocelyn Nungries? I just don't understand what their point is. They have completely lost their minds. They have completely lost their minds.
So you're saying if members of Congress break the law, they're not going to get special treatment. They're going to be treated like any other U.S. citizen. If they break the law, they're going to pay the price.
Well, that's up to the Department of Justice. So my job is to follow the law and to make sure that individuals that are in this country illegally face consequences for that, and especially those that have committed criminal acts against the people that live in the United States of America. So the Department of Justice will make those decisions, but I'll tell you what, those ICE officers get up every single day and they love their jobs because they finally get to do their jobs with President Trump in the White House. And the fact that a member of Congress punched them, hit them, body slammed them, and then claimed that they were the victims, it's astounding to me that someone would even vote for someone and put them in a place of leadership when they perpetuate something as hypocritical and as criminal as what these individuals did. So I hope that the rest of the members of the House of Representatives will hold them accountable. They shouldn't be allowed to be on the committees that they're on. In fact, one of them is supposed to be conducting oversight over ICE, and instead she's assaulting them, and they don't deserve to be in the House. They should be censured by it. It's what's happening in this country and what agendas the Democrats are embracing is absurd, and it's not American. And I'm hoping that the American people recognize it and hold them accountable for what they're doing for criminal acts against people in this country.
Yeah, we would expect criminal referrals to the DOJ if any member of Congress or anybody assaults an ICE officer. There was this Wisconsin judge, you're familiar with her, Hannah Dugan. She tried to slide a Biden migrant out the back door and obstruct an ICE arrest at her own courthouse. Well, it looks like she's been indicted. How do you react to that?
Yeah, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that the judicial system recognized that she let down the court, let down the country, let down the authority that her position held, and that she will be held accountable for it. So I think that was a great decision coming forward to recognize that nobody can facilitate breaking the law. We shouldn't be able to allow that in this country, and we need to make sure that even judges are held accountable for the actions that they take.
They were telling us no one's above the law. So let's just look how that plays out. Secretary Noem, thank you.
What's funny about her, that judge, the Wisconsin judge, the funniest thing about her is when she pleaded, she's like, look, I think I should get judicial immunity. She thinks she should get immunity because she's a judge or because she's a judge and was in her courtroom. But nobody is above the law. That would mean what? Inside your courtroom? And I'm going to use the hyperbolic because you guys like to do it too. Everybody does. It's fun. So you're saying inside your courtroom you could pull a gun out and shoot the defendant if you decided you didn't like them. Is that fair to say? You guys talk about how Trump is going to be a dictator, how Trump as a president has immunity. That means he could just assassinate somebody. FYI, he actually can. Now, whether he's got legal right to do it's not. If it's done in some sort of way that's outside and he doesn't know, and yeah, happens. Shit happens, man. Hits are done. It's part of life. Not right, wrong, and different. I don't like it at all. I talk about not even cool with capital punishment. These are the assholes that we're talking about. This is giant assholes that they're killing in the big picture. DHS reportedly requests 20,000 National Guard troops for interior immigration enforcement. This is one of the ways we're going to help rid this influx. What's also happening, and we're seeing the buildup on our side. We're trying to push the button. See, progressive people, this is the one thing that's kind of funny, is progressive people are extremely easy to navigate. Extremely easy. Dude, works every time. Literally. They're very easy to get the attention of, sparkly, and then to emotionally charge, and that's just like sending them off in a direction. You're giving them an emotional force in a direction. So it's like Newton's law, right? You give them, I think it's the first law for every action, second law, I think. Force equals mass, whatever the hell. You give them a force, and there's an equal and opposite reaction. Yeah, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Whatever the hell. It's one of the first three laws of Newton. I know the middle one's the equation, so the other one's, I forget the other one. Anyway, doesn't matter. let's stay on task, Dan. 20,000 National Guard troops interior. We've got this preparing for the riots. They're trying to set up the race stuff. We'd seen that with the Derek Chauvin thing, even though I don't know why Marjorie Taylor Greene was playing the part she was, and I don't know why Trump would pardon him. Just none of that makes any sense, but this play up for it is happening. I don't know if someone's got their hand on the auto pen. And we've got this whole kind of side with the Palestinian thing that they spark up. So we've got all these people that they're very easily able to charge in a direction, be it racial, be it whatever. And it fires them off down the path of the opposite of that. Hatred. And they're just like winding up a robot and sending them down the road. But they can't do anything else. They're like single focus, single threaded, as my older brother used to say about his daughter. Single threaded. Just you can only handle one thing at a time. Can't understand that we're trying to get gas right now, right? And it's not all about you or whatever. I don't know. I'm just making up stuff. So 20,000 National Guard. We are spreading National Guard around. If something happens to a National Guard individual, especially if they're under the national Geist rather than a state National Guard, and again, I don't know how they're deploying these. I would assume there's different legalities and how reinforcements might be needed, but how that already opens the door and gets like supply lines set up, if you will. I mean, just kind of gets like logistics lines, maybe better way to put that, but still just gets some stuff ready. It's May 16th right now, 11:25 a.m. Pacific time, if it matters. You can probably see it on the screen. I'm in the way of it. Whoop, this way, right? No, you can't. There we go. We are very close to summertime, which is when all this stuff happens, the riots, because it's warm enough outside, wherever they need to be. There's been a lot of talks of the city stuff and burning. Lately, this is something I'm starting to see, and that usually means we're starting to get close enough to it to where that's one of the futures. It's one of the futures I've been trying to soften with you guys' help as much as possible. I bet we will have succeeded. But there will be, I think, a few cities, I think. I don't think it'll be as many as original or what a lot of people have talked about. I think there will be a few. And I do think there will be some significance in the damage. Buildings, at least. So we are, I think, going to head into a weird time, you know? And so there's, like, again, a lot of the talk around, like, economy and everything else has been funny how it's been focused because it's all about the stock market and it's day to day. And no, Trump's going to fix it all. But many of us forget how much of this battle, that's actual battle, the actual hard part, that's stuff that really, really matters. The arrests, if you will, that haven't happened. And how that plays out is always the tricky part. So, again, infrastructure's being put into place. I would prepare yourself to be ready to handle anything and everything you can. And that's one of the reasons why I've picked all the sponsors I have. I think all the sponsors I have right now fall into this category. Certainly the wellness company. The key ones, just to do it short today, because I got a live show coming up too, and I'm already long, and I've got some more video. I got a whole bunch of RFK Jr. stuff that you guys got to see. That's coming up. But again, they've got some good stuff for longevity. I think that's the one that's thought there was another one down here. I can't find that one. Anyway, the best sellers are this ivermectin and mebendazole. This is a parasite cleanse. You got parasites. Most of us probably do. Ivermectin makes a big helper in that. So if you're really out of whack, and you'll know because you've got some other issues going on, I also do recommend looking into your chakras, but that's kind of getting off into the woo. But to keep it simple, a lot of things are related to parasites. There's all sorts of evidence coming out of that. This parasite cleanse is freaking gnarly. It's a 90-day cleanse. You're getting a 90-day supply. You're getting in one. The price might seem extreme, but think about what it is. Parasites are responsible for a lot of the ailments that we experience. This will cleanse the entire body of parasites. It's got 25 milligram ivermectins. I think the stuff I typically take is 3 milligram. I think 5, maybe 3, something like that. 25 is like, and it's okay. It's not like you're going to get sick from that. It's awesome. And this is done by a doctor, by the way. But also 250 milligrams of mebendazole. That is a huge one. It's been talked about a lot. I thought Mel Gibson brought that one up, but others, someone said it was febendazole. I don't know. There's obviously similarities to it. It's got the bendazole portion going on. This is the mebendazole, and this is 250 milligrams, and this is like one of the hardest, heavy-hitting cleanses that are out there. Also, the other one that I really, really, really highly recommend is the kits. The Contagion kit is the one that has, like everything you need for any viral crap that happens, anything that's still in laboratories that hasn't leaked out yet. 25 tablets ivermectin, 14 tablets, they upped it. It used to be 12, I think. 14 tablets hydroxychloroquine, 12 tablets of azithromycin, which is like an antibiotic, pretty strong one too. We've also got 75 milligram generic Tamiflu. We got 10 tablets of that. That's an antiviral as well. And then budesonide, it's essentially asthma medication. It opens up your airways so you can breathe when you suddenly, you've got too much stuff going on in that upper respiratory. Maybe you've got some pretty bad infections, and thank God you've got antibiotic. This will help hugely. Again, this is all done by prescription with doctors. But you're going to get budesonide. You're going to get 5 vials of that and the nebulizer, which means you can get through 1 or 2, 3 days. Now, this is the one, I always talk about how this is for one person, okay? One Contagion kit is for one person. Just giving the facts. But what's the dangerous part, in my opinion, is if you're both in the elderly category, this part right here might be needed by both of you, depending. The pills are probably groovy to maybe share and split, and you'll probably see some pretty good benefits. Not a doctor, but again, you should get one per person, and there's also a resupply as well. But if you're worried about, if you have issues with breathing when stuff gets bad, maybe you're a smoker and stuff like that, I'm just saying, I don't know, just saying, you don't necessarily just want to think one person, if both of you get sick, are going to make it that way. So just, guys, something to keep in mind. I'm not trying to freak you out, just trying to say, I know it's a little sketchy, it's not cheap, but what is these days? So go to twc.health/OTF. That's TWC, the wellness company. twc.health/OTF. Yeah, they've got the stuff that's going to help you keep yourself healthy when all the crazy stuff's going down, and that's truly happening. GOP fiscal hawks sink the key vote on the Trump big, beautiful bill. Few Republicans voted no on it, which just keeps it from getting out of committee. I'm not seeing this as the big, fail, like it's trying to be spun as. Like the left's running with it, they're like, ha, 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 ha. And it's like, nah, you have not seen what's coming. Now we've got more information to go on. Now they've actually seen Trump come back from this Middle East talk, and he's bringing an additional 1.2 trillion plus, because I know there was another stop he got. So we've probably picked up some more crap. So Trump brings back at least $1.5 trillion from this Middle East trip. How many times did Biden go anywhere and help our country? Never. Donald Trump actually posted this. Everybody, there's a storm. No, I'm just kidding. Just fucking with you. For all the guys that are not looking. No. Republicans must unite behind the one big, beautiful bill. Not only does it cut taxes for all Americans, but it will kick millions of illegal aliens off of Medicaid to protect it for those who are the ones in real need. The country will suffer greatly without this legislation and their taxes going up 65%. It will be blamed on the Democrats, but that doesn't help our voters. We don't need grandstanders in the Republican Party. Stop talking and get it done. It's time to fix the mess that Biden and the Democrats gave us. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He's like, yeah, get your shit together. I'm even going to post this on Twitter, X, formerly known as whatever. Yes. Removing their power. A couple cool stories. Kash Patel crushes anti-Trump weaponization arm of the FBI. Literally just shut down this whole office, the CR-15 group. I feel like I've already mentioned it, but he shut it down completely. They were actually running around, basically weaponized against conservatives, weaponized against Trump, everybody involved with Trump. That whole entire group has been running still, by the way, is now taken down. Foreign Democrat mega donor hit with sexual harassment lawsuit. This dude is kind of up there in the Soros. The Soros is kind of busted, and he's, or dead, I should say, and his son nobody really likes. Who's the other guy that just stepped down the day the Pope died? Drawing a blank. I think Germany fellow's name. but he's the one that funds a bunch of stuff too. He's Soros, whatever. There's the other guy. I'm drawing a blank on his name. He is another one that is fallen in bad graces as of late, and had prostitutes or masseuses coming up to his room, and they was having everybody pay for that. So that's very cool. Oh, Klaus Schwab, that bastard. Yeah, that guy. Whoever emailed me already, I'm sure. So yes, that's how that works. And then there's this dude. Yeah, Hans-Jörg Weiss, or Wiss, Hans-Jörg. Hey, Hans. That's probably what I'd call him. I don't know. I feel like Jorg's too much, you know? I don't know if you're worth the Jorg to me, buddy. He's an 89-year-old Swiss billionaire. He talked about wanting to do a threesome and a foursome, and hell, he's probably up for a fivesome. Who knows? Who knows? As long as I got a finger to count it. Yeah. I don't know if that's how it worked out. Dude's 89. He would have friggin' heart attacked right there, but he's in big trouble. They're looking into his nonsense. Oh, this was awesome. Weaponization of the labs. And this is that one, that lab they just shut down. They literally was asking RFK Jr. about it. Crap, is this really 5 minutes long? Is it being investigated? Is this really? Yeah. All right. What the hell? Let's do this.
Senator Paul.
Thank you. I want to commend Secretary Kennedy and the administration for putting forward less spending. And one of the reasons I think we need to look at NIH and other grant-making organizations is if you keep giving them the same amount, you'll keep getting the same frivolous grants. And I'll recite a couple of them so people can remember. $660,000 was given to study the impact of microaggressions on obesity-related eating in Latinx Americans. You know, really, maybe heart disease, diabetes, obesity, but eating disorders in Latinx Americans. Here's another one, $419,000 to study if lonely rats seek cocaine more than happy rats. Maybe we could eliminate that, and that could go to a real disease. Most recently, NIH recorded a $620,000 grant for LGBTQ plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. And what they discovered was that girls who think they are boys are at least as likely to get pregnant as girls who think they are girls. Amazing, the science. But we should all agree that that's just left-wing ideology. That's not science. We should study obesity and cancer and diabetes. I commend you for shifting the balance. I have a specific question about closing down Fort Detrick recently. My understanding is that a contractor intentionally slashed the hazmat suit or the biosafety suit of someone who's handling Ebola. You were immediately attacked in the press by saying, oh, he's just anti-science, once and then shutting down science. Was this a serious breach, and is it being investigated?
We brought in the FBI to investigate it. As you say, it appears like it was a deliberate criminal act to try to, that was a kind that is equivalent to attempted murder, because the kind of microbe, the pathogens that they were handling have a very, very high case fatality rate, up to 50%. The disturbing thing about it is that there are 3 leaks a week globally from BSL-4 labs. And any of those could be cataclysmic for humanity. And as a result, we not only closed Fort Detrick, and we brought the FBI in to investigate that, we also declared the end of gain-of-function studies that will allow those kind of leaks to continue.
I commend you for that. I think ultimately legislation will be needed because the next administration could reverse it. I think there is bipartisan support for some controls on gain-of-function. As you shut down gain-of-function, though, you have to decide what it is, and then you have to look for it. So I would suggest that at both Fort Detrick and at the NBAC lab that's nearby, run by the DHS, that we look at experiments involving Ebola, avian flu, Marburg virus, to determine, one, whether they gain a function, but also just determine whether the experiments are wise. I am told in public records that they are doing experiments or have done experiments to aerosolize Ebola at the NBAC lab. That's the DHS lab nearby to Fort Detrick. My hope is that when you investigate whether to do gain of function or what is gain of function, what is being done, that you'll compile that and at least give us a report in Congress, and we're going to ask for it, But so there can be public scrutiny of these things. You will help to scrutinize it, but the whole public needs to know how dangerous some of these things are and whether we should be doing them. The idea of aerosolizing Ebola, I think, is or training Ebola to be aerosolized is incredibly dangerous. Probably goes against the Biological Weapons Convention. And I'd like to hear a little bit about whether or not, as you investigate this, you plan on bringing information back to Congress or to the public.
Yeah, we're going to be absolutely transparent. I have a trip planned to Fort Detrick with Kristi Noem, the director of DHS, and with Jay Bhattacharya and other people in my agency who are experts on bioweapons, who are experts on gain-of-function research, and we are going to be absolutely transparent. We've also proposed a methodology for regulating and for determining what is dangerous gain of function and what is legitimate scientific investigation, and how to bring the public into that debate, which I think, as you point out, is absolutely critical. That is where we messed up last time. And as you know, we have some of the Democrats here who are, talking about the great science from NIH, but now we have a major agency, intelligence agency, the CIA, the FBI, the DOE, and the State Department have all agreed that NIH research almost certainly led to the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. So that's not the kind of the result that we should be allowing or enabling, and we're going to end that now.
If possible, the trip to Fort Detrick and to NBAC, we'd like to be included or invited on that trip if possible.
Absolutely.
Just as an audio junkie, people in Congress, dude, these new microphones you have, they suck. When they overmodulate, oh my God, it's brutal. Get whatever you got to do. Do something. Get some compression or something. That's horrible. Oh my Lord. Ugh, I say. This was a little bit of a Ed Martin action here. And, well, by the way, this with... We've got a bunch more, too, with Kennedy, but the fact that he called out the fact that COVID was done in a lab and that we were kind of sort of responsible. Probably shouldn't have just slipped by that so simply. Ed Martin talking about Trump and the St. Louis guy, let's see, Tucker yesterday, dropping his own bombs about the certification of voting machines. A lot of stuff is coming out, needs to come out. We have to strike now-ish for the elections, and we screw up the deep state's plans completely. They're all like, oh, AOC is going to become president. Not if we control, I'm sorry, let's say it correctly. Not if elections are actually accurate. An actual representation of legal citizens voting only. Nobody else. Nobody else gets a voice. That's not fair. No, it's totally fair. It's not fair for any unofficial person to have a voice because that shuts down the voice of a real person. We have to get our elections under control. That, to me, is one of the most important things that has to happen before I care about the Epstein list. F that thing. I want to make sure we've got our elections secured, our voter registrations good, like all this crap.
Probably get myself in trouble, you in trouble, who knows. One of the ways I ran elections, one of the places I think that is really problematic that nobody has looked at is the certification of systems, right? The certification of election systems. For the record, not saying there's any fraud, but how do you certify?
Of course there's fraud.
Well, I know, but the election.
Look at what's at stake.
Exactly. Well, no, but even better, look at how much money it is.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Well, okay, but even just the Election Assistance Commission is the entity that certifies machines, okay? It has no real teeth, but it controls who's certified or not, which means it controls who has the good housekeeping stamp of approval worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. What are the chances that has been done? Everything else we've seen in government is broken, corrupt, messy, incompetent, or something, right? What are the chances that's the one place where it's totally competent and totally without any flaws? I'm just saying, let's go look, right? And that's what we've got to do to get to the bottom of this.
In the same way that the gun control people are fine with gang bangers having guns.
Right.
The democracy is sacred people are very upset when you want to make sure that elections have integrity. That's weird.
It's extremely weird. So yeah, we've got to work through this We've got to make sure we can get our elections back to where they should be and continue to fight the fight. That's all we can do. New York's going to send inflation refund checks to eligible residents because the prices went higher. They had more in sales tax than they expected. So they're giving some of that back. Just remember, Kathy Hochul's trying to get reelected. So she's given $2 billion of money that you probably need to fix the subways and other stuff back to you guys, which is cool. It's fun to have money back, but your little $40, $50 each person, what is that really? How many potholes didn't get fixed? How many train stops didn't get upgraded? How many homeless people are still literally threatening people's lives? Colorado could be the parental rights canary in the coal mine. We've talked about this story before, but it's kind of a fun little point. Like, look, here's the chance where literally courts are going to take parents' children away based solely off the fact that whether or not they accept their child's gender dysphoria, whether or not they accept into this illusion that I am a sex other than what I am. First off, a lot of us, man, we grew up with Popeye. I am what I am, right? And that's all that I am. Right? It's actually a better way to do it. But still, nonetheless, it's too much effort. Got to really get into that character, right? Don't like doing that. Federal magistrate drops charges against 100 aliens trespassing in New Mexico's military zone. It was a misdemeanor, first off. So, whatever. She let it go. What I think is important is every single one of these people were fingerprinted. Every single one of these people got a mugshot. Mission accomplished. Hang on. Actually, there we go. You can't just, and then not do the buff. I mean, what's the point? SCOTUS zigzags on national injunctions versus democracy, birthright, citizenship. Again, I feel like we talked about this a little bit. This is a big deal, though, and how this works through the Supreme Court system. I mean, in a nutshell, I don't think they're going to end up having as much of a problem with, and this is, and this has to do with how they file this, so I don't know if it matters to anybody at all, but I think what the Supreme Court really wants is, this isn't so much an issue about courts being able to overstep on being able to stop across the nation, the national injunction. And the only reason I kind of understand this angle, let me just throw it out there. I mean, it's not black and white to me, so let me at least just throw out my crazy thought on this. I was on the F national injunctions. I'm like, they can do make it a, what is it, a group case? What is it, right? Whatever, you guys, words escaping me, right? But we could turn it into one of those where it involves a class of people. There we go. A class lawsuit, class action. And they can make a national class action. And that's where I was cool with it. But then I thought about it, and their point kind of is that requires like this next level of legality or hoops. When they feel like it's significantly cheaper and easier to stop the administration from doing something all over the place that might be bad. Might. This happened with the Biden administration. We were able to stop him from things, right? Like, so there's some things where, hang on, let's just at least make sure this is legal before you continue doing it. And that's where I draw the line. Continue doing it. So if I'm firing people, I can't continue to fire them, or the ones that I've fired, I'll continue to pay them, but they don't necessarily get to come back into the office, right? Like, let's hold right here. That I can kind of live with. For me, it's when they say, you got to hire everybody back. Fuck you. You've gone way too far, courts. So I don't know how that concept gets brought before the Supreme Court, because in my opinion, that is the crime. That is what is wrong. This idea that a court can literally force, you must pay out USAID money. You must go down to another country and bring someone back from there, just so you can deport them again, as Stephen Miller did a wonderful job telling us yesterday. That is way the fuck over their bounds. So that's where I think this needs to end up, and I think the Supreme Court's kind of bumming on it because they don't want to make a decision on something that's kind of like willy-nilly. They want it to be solid case, because this will be looked at forever and it'll get overturned at some point if it's not solid. Clarence Thomas is, I think, probably the one I really learned this concept from. I don't remember exactly what issue it was, but it was, I think back during Biden times. But something they wanted to get up, Might even have been Second Amendment stuff, but something he wanted to get up to him, but it was like, it's got to be the right case. Otherwise, so we'll see. I don't know. I mean, they're kind of even Steven on this one, I think, as far as the way the questions went, like, which is what they usually base it off of. Obviously, our Coney Barrett, she's definitely loosey-goosey, right? We know where a couple of these people are definitely going to vote. Sotomayor, even there was actually a point where what's his face, Roberts, actually had to like interrupt her for a second and say, "I'd like to hear the gentleman finish the answer." So she was being a little ridiculous too. This lawyer that they got going on here, I don't know. I don't know. The stuff they're quoting does not lend to favorable. Like, he doesn't make me think the dude's a rock star by any stretch. Whatever. It is what it is. Birth citizenship abuse story. There was apparently a call into a C-SPAN show, talked about these Chinese birth houses. Essentially, these ladies are coming here at 7-8 months pregnant on visas, I think, popping out kids. And then those kids get citizenship. They send them back to China. They, raise them up as loyal nationalists, and then they send them back here when the time is right. This is what they're saying. To me, what this is fear porn, kind of to a degree, but it's probably happening. I don't know if the numbers are as huge as they could be, and Trump could stop this maybe. But yeah, there's been a plan. I think 2035 was kind of more the date that a lot of this stuff, or 2030 at least. I feel like 2035, but I feel like the date was a bit down the road, and so they weren't as prepared. And as the analogy has gone, the hunt for Red October, we kind of turned back on them. And we screwed up their time frames so badly, and they're still having issues with it. They're not far enough along. We're literally wiping them out before they have a chance. We knew what they were doing, but we didn't give them a chance to totally set it up first. Kind of smart, frankly. It sounds like we sort of hit early. They were expecting us to do this maybe later. And here we are, right? Changing the world. Trump says India is willing to offer U.S. zero tariffs. India says nothing. We haven't necessarily said that. So anyway, there's some rumors going around, but they're not letting it get too far, right? Trump says U.S. will set new tariff rates for more nations within weeks, but again, being quiet as to who. Everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to see what's happening. Should the stock market get happy and go higher? And that's the problem with the stock market right now, is it is so overblown, and they're just like, they can't really crash it because of what it does, and they can't really raise it any higher because it's about as big as it's going to get. So we're in a fun place. Not Jimmy, I always want to do that. Warren Buffett, he not nearly as good a singer. No, I don't know if you've heard him karaoke. It's not very good. No, I've never heard him. I'm just making that up. He might be awesome. Who knows? But Jimmy's much better. All said, this dude's gotten rid of his Citigroup stock. He dumped a whole bunch of different financial stocks. Banks, Bank of America, dumped a bunch of the stuff. Like, he's no longer the biggest shareholder, or he got rid of it completely. Brazil's new bank completely got out of that. This dude's getting out of this. He's getting out of banks. Keep that in mind, guys. He's pulling the money out of banks. This guy knows what's up. He can't say it publicly, though. Just FYI. What he says publicly has to, 1, be legal because he's got stocks and everything under him. And 2, can't necessarily move stocks in any direction. And 3, well, he's playing with the deep state, so he's got to favor them. And I think that's one of the many reasons why he wanted to step down from the money side of things. He's like, I know what's happening. I don't want to be at the helm when it does. I don't want my name tarnished, right? Like that, who's that? Jim Cramer. Like, his name's ruined. Ruined. Everyone's like, do the opposite of what Cramer says. He's probably telling you to, buy. Buy. Wah, 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 wah. He's got probably some stupid little duck that he steps on and it makes that noise. Price of gold's gone down a little bit. It's fantastic. Again, folks, it's not a problem. It was moving in swings that were giant, but again, a lot of this ties to the value of the dollar. A lot of this ties to a lot of things. The fact that gold is in a more purchasing position is good. Stock market's about as good as it's probably going to get. I don't know, folks. If you got a 401k or an IRA, I highly recommend diversifying for sure. Divesting is a better way to look at it. Getting the hell out of also. It's literally physical precious metals. It's a physical precious metals IRA. It's a way to protect your wealth. Pirates knew it long ago. Arr, matey, I've got a chest full of mates in gold and silver. Some jewels, right? Like, that's an investment. Not, they didn't run around with friggin' Federal Reserve notes inside there. And no one's opened up, the Federal Reserve note treasure chest. Matey, arr. Even Jamie Raskin or One-Eyed McCain. I'm being a dick now, but whatever. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Their system, no good, no bueno. Get out. Got some cool freebies. They're going to give you a half-ounce collectible 0.999% pure. It's a half-ounce silver coin. Ronald Reagan. It's like $15-16 right now. Just in value. Just hey, we want to tell you about this way you can save money. Seriously, it's pretty awesome. Gold and silver kit, you got to qualify for it. I think there's you just got to have a 401k or something. Maybe it's your age. I don't know what it is. 401k and up to 10% free silver, by the way, the face value of that. IRA 401k. Yep. Yeah, you're just investing. You're getting into something that protects. And the prices of gold and silver, many are saying, are going to go up a bunch. So the silver is actually one of the great ways to go, too, by the way. Silver is definitely less valued than it should be and pretty cheap for what you get. It's nice to have a coin that I can give somebody and actually get something of actual value rather than having to give them, a $3,000 coin. I can give them a $30 coin or whatever it happens to be. But basically, you get the point. It's a storage of value, but how much value in 1 ounce do you need, right? So again, one of the greatest companies you'll ever get to deal with. Go to DRSlikesgold.com. That's DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you. Yes. All right, here is former Rep. Kurt Weldon dropping some bombshells. He's talking about the terrorists of 9/11. I had never heard this before. I mean, I kind of did, but I don't actually think there were planes. I don't know. I have issues at this point. Whatever. Wherever you're at with the whole thing, I don't think there were actually planes that hit the buildings. If they were, then they were military planes, and they weren't the ones that were actually quote-unquote hijacked. I know the colors I saw the day of, they looked like they were military color to me, but who knows what video's out there now, because a lot of this stuff could have been changed. I was awake at the time, and I just remember what I remember, but it didn't look like, it looked like hologram technology used at the time. That's what I remember, but whatever the case is, you guys might disagree. You're probably right. I'm probably wrong. Totally cool. I love you. I hope we can still be friends, but this is something I hadn't heard.
One of the top FBI international leaders confirmed to me in writing that 2 of the terrorists in the 9/11 attack were on the payroll of the CIA at the time.
Yeah.
I'll repeat that again. 2 of the terrorists on 9/11 were on the CIA payroll at the time. And after 9/11, there were between 40 and 50 employees that were reprimanded. Why has none of that been told to the American people? Why was none of that investigated by the 9/11 Commission? Why is this cover-up occurring when all of these, the biggest loss of life in American history on our soil? And it's like we're a bunch of 5th graders. It's outrageous.
Has it been documented that they were on payroll? Because I know
Yes.
the internet's going to say no. There's no evidence that the claim that the terrorists were on CIA payroll. While it's true that CIA had information on 2 of the hijackers, Nafal al-Hazimi and Khalid al-Midhar, before the attacks, and there have been criticism of how the CIA handled information, but there's no indication that they were employed
Well, do you think the
or paid
CIA
by
is going to
CIA.
come out and just tell that on the record? One of the top.
Now, again, it is entirely possible that planes were done remotely and possibly had a thing underneath. I've seen all the video. I swear, I've seen so much of it. So again, I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I know it was done not the way they say. And the fact that Passport magically was found in the debris, this is just stupid. There was missing debris. There should have been at least 4 engines found, and there weren't. And then they magically found one. But the picture they took, the experts at the time that were looking at the photo were like, if anything, that's a cruise missile or it's something smaller. So either they dropped it or it got hit by a cruise missile or something different. Many also suspect, and I kind of think there could be a lot of truth to this too, that this was actually the Project Blue Beam test. The noise in the sky and a hologram that they could control down. And so everybody said they saw it. Everybody said they heard it. Well, that was the point. So again, that's possible. And then they had explosives. There was thermite dust found everywhere. So no matter what, thermite was used. Obviously, these buildings were brought down. There's no way this happened just by burning. So anyway, for wherever you are in the whole awakening process in 9/11, it was certainly a a wealth of stuff in there. There is so much cool stuff in there. So, yeah, there's some more CIA directly involved. All right, I got a bunch. I'm just going to string these all together because I guess I'm longer than I wanted to be anyway, but nah, it is what it is. I at least started early enough. That's what's fun. That said, RFK Jr. Talking and then taking questions and sort of getting beat up on and calling people out. Just some really, really good stuff with his discussion with Congress and some of the douche holes that, well, good and bad, but some of the douche holes. I got mostly douche holes, and it's fun. You'll enjoy this. Check this out. This guy's a rock star. I love him. Check him out.
The Trump HHS is not just the most effective, but also the most compassionate in U.S. history. Our official budget statement outlines many priorities, but I will highlight a few. First, we will consolidate programs to better tackle mental health and addiction. These issues now rival chronic disease in their impact. HHS will aggressively combat the opioid crisis, especially the spread of synthetic drugs like fentanyl. We will empower state, local, and tribal leaders to create effective solutions. Second, we will address nutrition, physical activity, and healthy lifestyles. The President's budget requests $94 billion in discretionary funds to support these priorities, including the Administration for a Healthy America. We will emphasize healthy eating and Head Start and ensure the program continues to serve its 750,000 children and parents effectively. Third, we will equip the FDA to expand its food safety efforts through research, regulations, independence, and education to remove harmful chemicals from food and packaging. And we're already doing this more aggressively than any other administration in history. We will fund cutting-edge research at the NIH while cutting risky or non-essential services. That includes ending of gain-of-function experiments and research based upon radical gender ideology.
Congress, again, power of the purse resides here, appropriated $246 million for CDC's tobacco prevention programs. Do you commit to following the law again, fully obligating those funds so that we can help adults who want to quit using tobacco and prevent teens from becoming addicted?
Allow me to answer that by pointing out the absolute cataclysmic disorganization of this agency under your oversight for 40 years. We had 9 separate offices of women's health. When we consolidate them, the Democrats say we're eliminating them. We're not. We're still appropriating the $3.7 billion, but we're not keeping all 9. We had 8 separate offices for minority health. We eliminated 1. We had 27 HIV offices.
Okay, let me just, I'm going to interrupt.
We had 59 behavioral health programs.
I'm well over time. Congress, again, power of the purse resides here, appropriated $246 million for CDC's tobacco prevention programs. Do you commit to following the law again, fully obligating those funds so that we can help adults who want to quit using tobacco and prevent teens from becoming addicted?
Allow me to answer that by pointing out the absolute cataclysmic disorganization of this agency under your oversight for 40 years. We had...
If you are successful in banning fluoride, I noticed you congratulated Utah and Florida, I think, for banning it. That's up to them. They can do what they want. But we better put a lot more money into dental education because we're going to need a whole lot more dentists.
I think that, Marty McCary's concern with ingestible fluoride is that the emerging science shows the benefits to of fluoride to caries and to cavity prevention comes from topical exposures rather than it was once thought that it was systemic, that if you ingested it, that the benefit came from that. We now know that virtually all the benefit is from topical, and we can get that through mouthwashes, we can get through fluoridated toothpastes. The National Toxicity Program issued a report in August, a meta-review of all the science that now exists on fluoride, and showed a direct inverse correlation between fluoride exposure, dose-related, and lower IQ. It's an issue that we have to all be concerned with. We want high IQ kids.
Mr. Hoyer,
right now.
Mr. Hoyer.
I appreciate that, and I look forward to working with you on it.
Okay.
Is there an analysis that you can provide to this committee prior to us determining the budget
that will show that, in fact, those cuts will not be harmful to those objectives?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there were analysis. The simplest analysis was at the outset, the analysis that we're spending $2 trillion a year that we don't have.
Mr. Musk said he was going to cut $2
You're
trillion.
spending $2 trillion more than you have to make cuts. The other analysis that was more detailed is that
children or the Indians that you're so concerned about?
we didn't cut the Indians. We didn't
No,
cut
I
the
understand
Indian
that.
services.
I'm asking you, you said we have to cut.
I made sure that those services were not cut. I made sure that Head Start was not cut. But the cuts that were done were cuts that were to duplication, to redundancy, to streamlining. We increased our workforce 70% in 4 years, so we were going back to the 2019 levels.
If you had a child today, would you vaccinate that child for measles?
You know, what I would say is my opinions about vaccines are irrelevant. I have directed Jay Bhattacharya.
Sure. No, like I said, I don't want to.
So that everybody can make that decision. But I don't want to seem like I'm being evasive.
Yeah.
But I don't think people should be taking medical advice from me.
Right. No, I got that. And I'm not asking you to give them medical advice, but would you vaccinate your child for measles?
If I answer that question directly, that it will seem like I'm giving advice to other people, and I don't want to be doing that. I want people to make
But that's kind of your jurisdiction because CDC does give advice, right? I'm not trying to do it as a gotcha. It's just kind of.
What we're going to try to do is to lay out the pros and cons, the risks and benefits accurately as we understand them with replicable studies.
Can you talk about chickenpox? Would you vaccinate your child against chickenpox?
I don't want to give advice. I can tell you in Europe, they don't use the chickenpox vaccine specifically because the preclinical trial shows that when you inoculate the population for chickenpox, you get shingles in older people, which is more dangerous.
Just one last one, just a yes or no, please, if we could. Polio?
Polio? Again, I don't want to be giving advice.
That's fair. No, that's fair. Like I said, I was not doing it as a gotcha. I was just, I thought it could be helpful if,
Okay, well, I'm asking if anybody here, because you're
here.
You're asking us for money. We appropriated the funds. Did you talk to any of us, Democrat, Republican? You know what? There are actually some very bright Republicans, I will say that, on both sides of the aisle. So the answer to that question is no. So your decisions, were they based on merit or generated by an algorithm? Did somebody get Elon Musk's computer and say, okay, just make 20% cuts? You know if that
I mean, I disagree with your entire characterization. It was like the recitation of a narrative that, everybody knows out there, and it's the Democratic Party narrative.
I'm just asking you a question.
It's just not true. We weren't cutting thousands of scientists.
All right,
we weren't cutting clinical trial. I mean, everything you said was essentially dishonest.
All right, that's okay. Well, I'm asking you if anybody.
So I guess that was the end of that. Finally got to it. All right, apologize. That was long. I don't know, but I felt like those were all really, really good. And especially his calling out of the vaccines. You guys catch that? Like, he's like, I can't give advice, but, well, Europe got rid of it, and here's the reason why Europe got rid of it. Like, bam! Right? So that's why I shared it. I thought it was beautiful. Maha's chief medical advisor demands mRNA COVID jab moratorium. This dude's not in charge of anything, but he is definitely an advisor. He's definitely part of the Maha group, like legitimately, to my understanding. Dr. Asim Malhotra is newly appointed chief medical advisor to Make America Healthy Again initiative, says there's overwhelming evidence to ban the COVID-19 mRNA shots. Again, if the evidence is coming out for all the, the censors out there, because I like, again, remember, they're calling out assassinations on Trump because he's going after really the pharmaceutical giant, the big money, the self-choosing to sleeve up, right? Roll it up. This is the key to them. The whole, the money, everything. There's billions of dollars. Von der Leyen, in fact, is going to come up here in a second. Well, I don't know. I think I killed the story, but she got called out for not sharing information. She supposedly destroyed it, deleted the emails. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to keep them? I don't know. I can't do a German accent for some reason. At least I'd have to hear it, and then maybe The Austrian, I was going Arnold, right? But it's slightly different than German. It's not fair. And supposedly there's a difference about whether Germans don't have senses of humor, but Austrians do. There was a funny thing done at one time. Anyway, whatever. Getting off track. And French people are racist. Nah, I'm just kidding. I thought I'd throw them in there. Ukrainian, there's a lot of room under those buses. They're giants. You could run over gobs of people. Ukrainian migrant charged with setting fire to properties owned by the British Prime Minister. Sinister. Interestingly, Ukrainian migrant is who got pegged. I am very curious what's going on in England right now. It almost feels like you guys are breaking free somehow. It doesn't look like it. No, it looks in fact like it's getting worse. Worse, in fact. You should start to look angry soon. Maybe not. Us in America, we're like, hey, Brits, when you finally look like you're angry, we might be like, you need help yet? But they'll never look angry. Ukrainian migrant charged, blaming the Ukrainians. Why is Zelensky getting thrown under the bus right now? Just saying a lot of things are happening in a weird kind of way. Optics are everything. Because everybody believes what's happening. Oh yeah, a ghost came into the Italian, the member of parliament, whatever the hell. And this guy came in, and they're like, you can drag the ghost of the referendum away from the chamber, but they will not stop us from trying to inform the Italians. We only ask that the Prime Minister inform citizens about the referendum vote. We are not asking you for a favor. It is your precise duty. On June 8th and 9th, we vote without fear. It's actually an Italian dude that was saying it, and I don't know how to. I don't know how to. I can't do any of it, but I like her. I thought that Melania chick is cool, but I feel like the European Union's got control over Italy. I don't think they make enough money to be as big a boot as they are. You know what I mean? Like they need to grow into that boot, so they actually got some foot to fill it in. 1/5 of Pakistan's electricity comes from the hydro dams that right now India is blocking the rivers. So 1/5 of the electricity that Pakistan uses is being blocked currently by India. That's going to piss people off and start wars. Just saying. Ukraine admits it lost a third F-16. We don't know where we put it, man. You ever walk out and you park the car in one of the parking lots and you don't know if it was that north or south lot? Was it the Pinocchio lot or the Jemediah lot? Where, right? Yeah, they lost another one into the ground, I think. But yeah, they're not doing well. They're losing all support. You notice how it's falling apart and even the news is having to crumble on it because guess what? See, this discussion with Turkey with Zelensky and then the Putin's advisor guy and then the Cuban guy, what's his face? Mark Rubio. He was there, right? Our guys were there, but not the main leaders, not Putin, not Trump. No. Zelensky, you were there. Yeah. Because somebody had to sign some stuff. Publicly, they're playing it out how they want. And what's funny is Zelensky immediately starts crying, right? And then Russia and U.S. have been oddly quiet. It's all right. They're making it sound like this is a failed, peace. Peace isn't happening, right? But what's happening is either he was given an opportunity to do something and he said no, which I think is what happened. And so we're just like, all right, we're done. Because they basically told him, look, here's the thing. We're not giving you anything at all to help. You're on your own. Oh, we'll do it. Fine. We'll get others. Or whatever stupid accent would be. What's interesting is Putin removes commander of Russia's ground forces in another defense shakeup. Oh, it's a shakeup. Shake down, break down, take down. Everybody wants to. The crowd is live. Yeah, he's shaking it up, all right. Or down. Problem is, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. This dude's been there since 2014. Army General Oleg Salyukov. Sure. The password is Salyukov. Since 2014. Now all of a sudden he's pissed off. What's changed? Nothing. Except the point of the war now. What they were really trying to do was clear out these last couple segments, maybe, because they don't fully have all of the troops out that are Ukrainian. This is why Ukraine's like, it's still technically ours. We're not giving it to you. And that was what the whole fight's all about. So now we've got a new commander that I think is specifically for that reason. We will free these areas. We will use everything we have to do it. And we're going to do it hard and fast. That sounds like there's a porn movie built in there somewhere. So I don't think this is a failure on Salyukov's part at all. In fact, I would be surprised. Maybe publicly it needs to look like it. I don't know how it works in their world, but nah, nothing's gone wrong. I mean, it hasn't happened fast enough. Maybe. They've been trying to keep this from going as bad as it could be, right? This dude's got all, look at all the shit that's on him. They're like, dude, I need another uniform to put shit on. I'm going to put it off my hat, right? Get one of them Christmas trees, like he smells good wherever he's at. That'd be cool. Russia-Ukraine talks, they wrapped up 2 hours. Not even 2 hours. Not even 2 hours. And they were done. So, yeah, you can imagine that didn't go well. Russia's readying its first underground oil storage facility. Typically, they move everything through pipelines kind of at real speed. They never really fully fill the pipelines up is really what it comes down to. Now they're starting to. They don't want to waste oil. They don't want to, because you start to have problems. So they've now realized we need the ability to divert oil to locations where we can keep it safe and pump it back into the system if we need to, which is basically saying that Russia's amassed enough oil to at least fill all of its pipelines. And, yeah, that's huge. That's like money in the bank. But you're lacking customers to buy it, per se. But you're able to spin it up if you need to. So this is interesting, I thought. Here's Donald Trump talking about meeting with Putin soon. Soon.
I think it's time for us to just do it. I said, they all said Putin was going and Zelensky was going. And I said, if I don't go, I guarantee Putin's not going. And he didn't go, and I understand that, but we're going to get it. We're going to get it done. We got to get it done. 5,000 young people are being killed every single week on average, and we're going to get it done.
Were you surprised when Zelensky didn't show up either, sir? Were you surprised when Zelensky didn't show up either?
No, he didn't show up because he heard Putin wasn't going. So
when do you think you'll meet the president?
As soon as we can set it up. I would actually leave here and go. I do want to see my beautiful grandson, his son, and.
So I thought he actually showed up, but so yeah, Zelensky even bailed. So whatever, yeah, it was a waste of time. They're just like, yeah. So what do you want to play some solitaire? You got dartboard? Anything? Ping pong? How about pool? That thing you called billiards. Deadly Israeli strike pounding Gaza as Trump says people are starving. Yeah, this Gaza thing's about to get much, much worse. They wanted to wait until Trump got home from the Middle East, which has essentially happened now. I want to remind you guys, of course, of MyPillow. One of the greatest coupon codes to ever exist is OTF. Great products. This Rev 7 stuff is incredible. Towels, sheets, everything. They got some amazing deals on sheets right now. They close out sale on the percales, especially $29.98 any sale. Incredible stuff. My Cross, everything. They've got it all going on. My bed, my dog beds. You got to get one of those. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you've ever had. Hello. New Jersey Governor Murphy blasts striking New Jersey transit union workers. They were leaving 350,000 commuters in travel nightmare. Literally just left them, drivers of the trains or whatever, the subways or whatever they are, literally just like, peace. And they went on strike at one time, just leaving people stuck on trains. Go figure. Busy day for Uber driver. But here's the problem. When you do that to 350,000 people union, you piss off 350,000 regular people, not necessarily the 40 union workers that went on strike. So whatever the case is, this is one of those things that actually hurts public trust of unions. And so I found that to be kind of an interesting touch. Maybe that's a spin I'm putting on it. You can say it however you want. Some of you guys are unions, like pro-union. I'm not. My mom, retired UFCW, she's passed away now, but I've just been brought up. And then my dad, like, just friggin' hated unions, so I had a good fair upbringing. But needless to say, I read Upton Sinclair, The Jungle. Like, there was a time where unions made a lot of sense, man. Like, that for sure. There was some crazy stuff, but I think we've come to the point now where, from just the way technology works or our jobs work, I mean, you can find a better job. There's actually more. Most people, they think there's not jobs. Oh, the economy's shrinking. Dude, if you're a decent worker, most people suck bad. So if you're sort of a good worker, that's all it needs to be. I mean, if you're a sucky worker, yeah, for sure, you should probably stay where you're at. But if you're a decent worker or better, dude, please. Just go out and sell yourself, man. Just be like, I show up on time all the time. I don't just flake on my job. I actually like what I do. Like, they'll be like, frick, really? Dude, yeah, can you start today? I need you right now. I got this guy I want to fire. Anywho. Hey, if you guys have the LiDAR radar on your vehicles, this is a Volvo. I assume this is the case on some of the other ones, but there's the self-driving mode that has a LiDAR thing. Do not record it with your camera. I'm saying refrain from recording it with keep your camera away from it. And you don't even want to try this because I think it burns out pixels on your camera, by the way. It's like staring at the sun. They're like, you shouldn't do it. Why? Because it'll damage your eye. Oh, I bet it don't. Oh, that hurts. Shit. Oh, it's still hurting. Right? Like, that's why they write warnings on products. But this will fuck your camera up. Check this out. Yeah, that's I literally think that's pixel burning because it's like a laser infrared. So not good. Don't want to do that. So I don't know. Don't just try it to see if it actually does that, because that cool looking little thing is actual damage to your permanent damage to your pixels. Your pixels are no mas. Justin Bieber comes out and he says, nah, Sean Diddy Combs never raped me. That's what this whole story is about, just so you know, because everybody's going to start running with it and assume things, because most people are binary in the way they say things. What Justin Bieber is admitting to is that Diddy Combs didn't diddy him. Diddy Combs diddled him out to others. He was not speaking of that. So Sean Diddy Combs pimped his poor body out. Yeah, we'll say it that way. Justin Bieber's a very, again, there's a lot of these guys that are messed up. I honestly think Lady Gaga is too, but it's the families you're brought up in. And this is what I wish, like I said, I was lucky enough, I think, to have the privilege of getting to meet one of these individuals, these families. Never, ever got to meet them in real life. So it was always like, I'm just crazy. Just assume I am. That's how it always looked. It was amazing how they worked. There was even an intermediary person. It was phenomenal how it played out. Same voice. Anyway, yeah, good times. Good times. It was great times, in fact. So I've had a fun life, and I just keep quiet about most everything because I know what's up. They sort of found me, but at the same time, so enjoy the ride, my friends. We're on it together. We're going to get there. We are. I want as many of you to make it through this as possible. Honestly, in my audience, I'd like to see it expand maybe, but I think most of my audience, I think you guys are the guys that are like literally the teachers. You guys are the teachers. You guys are the ones that are going to help others wake up. You guys are the ones that are literally down in the trenches, right? I'm just the bastard. I'm like the guy, Good Morning Vietnam. Super important dude. You know, I'm not trying to downplay who I am, right? I'm the, sometimes the voice in your head maybe that's reminding you, but you're the one that's in the trenches doing the work. I'm just glad to play a part and help. In the big picture, I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep working my ass off every day with you guys. I love you guys. When we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.